Están en modo de solo escucha.
Muy buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Álvaro Cocha, soy el director de la oficina comercial de Colombia en Canadá. Estamos muy contentos de que hoy nos estén escuchando y que puedan ser, digamos, una forma más de motivación y entender las oportunidades comerciales que existen en este sector, en un mercado con mucho potencial como es el canadiense. Hoy nos acompañan Juan Eugenio Sierra, que es nuestro representante comercial en Montreal y que cubre toda la costa este de Canadá. Nos acompaña igualmente Juan Carlos Oliveros, nuestro representante comercial en Vancouver, que también tiene bajo su responsabilidad la costa oeste de Canadá. Y nos acompañan 3 expertos. Hemos querido traer 3 expertos con el fin de que compartan información detallada y con experiencia propia en el sector. Y entonces eso es lo que quisiéramos poder compartir con ustedes en esta hora de webinar. Voy a pasar a inglés, voy a introducir a los expertos y damos inicio al webinar. So, welcome everybody. Thanks again for allocating time for this webinar. I just want to briefly introduce and thank all of our experts here today with us. Irvin Ho from XM Studios. Irvin was a co-founder and VP at XMG Studio and Global Life XMG. He currently works with startups, and he has extensive knowledge of government grants and funding channels in Canada. Thank you, Irvin, for being here with us today. Calvin Ali from Northern World Entertainment Software. He's the founder of NWES, based in Toronto. Calvin is a postgraduate with honors in digital design and game design from George Brown College. With several fantastic gaming projects in progress, NWES believes in the sublime mandate of developing just good games. Thank you, Calvin, for being here with us today. And Santiago Bravo, he's a project director of Tecno Montreal. Tecno Montreal is the ICT cluster of the Greater Montreal region, and with more than 7 years of experience developing international markets and developing alliance with key players in the industry and with government institutions in Mexico and in Colombia. So with no further ado, let's start with the webinar, and once again, thank you all for allocating time, and hope that you will receive a lot of good and detailed information that will enable you to come into this market. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Álvaro. Buenos días a todos. Les habla Camilo Zuna, asesor de exportaciones desde Colombia aquí en Bogotá. Queremos agradecerle a la oficina de Canadá, a nuestros asesores, a nuestro director y a los 3 expertos por organizar este webinar y tener la disponibilidad para colaborar con nuestras empresas del sector de TI y contenidos digitales. Vamos aquí a habilitar mi cámara. ¿O no? ¿Se puede? A ver. Bueno. Este es un espacio muy importante. Creo que Canadá, y todos sabemos que es de gran interés para muchas de las empresas de nuestro sector de contenidos digitales y TI. Ya hay varias empresas que han avanzado por su cuenta, otras han recibido mucho apoyo de Colombia para pues, estar en una etapa un poco más madura de entendimiento del mercado, y queremos que este webinar sea de profundización, de entendimiento de las oportunidades que pueden existir en Canadá y que sigamos insistiendo en este mercado que es de tan alto potencial para nuestro sector. Quiero explicarles brevemente qué vamos a hacer en esta siguiente hora. Vamos a tener una charla breve, una presentación de Juan Carlos Oliveros, que es uno de nuestros asesores en Canadá, que nos va a dar una vista de lo que es el mercado canadiense para nuestro sector. Después Juan Eugenio Sierra, que es el otro asesor, el segundo asesor en Canadá, nos va a moderar lo que es pues, la discusión con nuestros tres expertos para que aprovechemos esta discusión y que nos puedan ellos dar un poquitico más de información y detalle de cómo son las cosas que se deben tener en cuenta para poder entrar en este mercado. Entonces, pues, no quiero pues demorarlos más, quiero darles la bienvenida. Y pues voy a explicar un poquitico en inglés lo que acabo de decir para que nuestros expertos, pues Kelvin y Irving, entiendan un poco lo que vamos a hacer. Irving and Kelvin, thank you very much for being with us this morning. I'm Camilo Zuna. I'm speaking from Colombia in Bogota. I'm one of the, let me see, let me try to, no, sorry. I was just saying I'm one of the advisors for the export companies of IT and digital content here in Colombia. Here in this business unit, we work closely with all of the Colombian companies. We believe that Canada is very important to us, to the sector, and we really want to thank you. We want to take this a great opportunity to learn and understand more about the Canadian market. And I was just telling the people that are connected to this webinar what we're going to do this morning. Basically, right now we got 68 people connected to this webinar. These are people from the digital content market and the IT industry. So basically, we really want to take a great advantage of this space that you're providing us this morning. We will have a brief presentation from Juan Carlos, that's one of the advisors in Canada, and then after that presentation, then we move on to Juan Eugenio. He will be the moderator of this discussion. And then from that point on, you guys will take over so that we will begin the discussion of what we want to discuss this morning. So no further ado, please, Juan Carlos, go ahead with your presentation. Again, thank you very much, Santiago. Santiago, sorry, I didn't mention your name. Santiago, Irving, and Kelvin, thank you very much, and please go ahead.
Gracias, Camilo. Bueno, yo les voy a dar una breve presentación del sector IT en Canadá. No sé si... Ok, voy a compartir mi pantalla. I'm going to give this presentation in English to all the panelists in Spanish because it's for the Colombian companies, and then we are going to carry out in English, okay? To carry on in English. Bueno, yo les voy a dar una presentación del sector TIC en Canadá. Básicamente lo que vamos a hacer es, voy a darles unos breves números acerca de cómo es el tamaño del sector y cuáles son los renglones más representativos de ese sector en el país, ¿ok? Bueno, primero que todo vamos a empezar con el perfil, un perfil global, digámoslo así, del sector en Canadá. Primero que todo vamos a empezar con las características generales del sector. El sector es bastante grande en Canadá. Hay más de 36,000 compañías en Canadá en este sector, de las cuales el 88% se encuentra en industrias de software y servicios informáticos. Como ponen en la gráfica, software ocupa la mayor parte de la torta de TIC en Canadá, seguido por ventas al por mayor, que son 5%, servicios de comunicaciones, que son 4%, y manufacturas TIC, que son 3%. El sector, para que se den cuenta del tamaño del sector en Canadá, el sector presenta ingresos totales por más de 159,000 millones de dólares, casi 160,000 millones de dólares, y aportó casi 70,000 millones de dólares al Producto Interno Bruto del país. El sector TIC en Canadá es considerado el sector privado más grande del país y registra un gasto de casi 6,000 millones de dólares en iniciativas de investigación y desarrollo. Ese gasto lo representó en 2015. En el 2014 se registraron 120 empresas con más de 500 empleados frente a 31,000 empresas, que es básicamente el 86% del sector, con menos de 10 empleados. El grueso del sector TIC son empresas, microempresas, ¿ok? con menos de 10 empleados. El sector TIC emplea a más de 1 millón de personas en Canadá. Aproximadamente el 60% de los trabajadores del sector TIC son graduados universitarios. Esto quiere decir que son gente bastante preparada, con altos estudios académicos, y es un sector en el que los trabajadores son muy bien pagos. Yo diría que es uno de los sectores en los que los trabajadores son mejor pagos, con un promedio anual de $72,000 al año. Canadá es un país también netamente exportador de servicios digitales. Exportó aproximadamente el 86% de todos los productos TIC desarrollados al país, por un total de 10.500 millones de dólares. En las gráficas ustedes pueden ver tanto cuáles fueron los productos y los servicios que más se exportaron, como los socios comerciales más grandes de Canadá en este sector. En cuanto a productos y servicios, se puede ver como equipos de computación, componentes electrónicos, ocupan la mayor parte de la torta, con casi 50%, mientras comunicaciones cableadas y comunicaciones inalámbricas ocupan el 36% del sector de exportaciones TIC en Canadá. Obviamente, por cercanía y tanto por ser el socio comercial más estratégico de Canadá, Estados Unidos recibe el 67% de estas exportaciones, el 11% recibe Asia-Pacífico, sobre todo desde la costa oeste de Canadá, y Europa recibe el 14%. Otros, vale decir otros, es Sudamérica y África, recibe solamente el 8% de las exportaciones de Canadá en esta clase de servicios. Si hablamos de provincias, Ontario es el segundo lugar con mayor concentración de empresas en Norteamérica en el sector TIC, después de California, básicamente el Silicon Valley. Los costos en la provincia están un 15% por debajo de los costos en Estados Unidos. En este sector se emplean más o menos 270,000 personas en la provincia de Ontario, y de las cuales 80% cuentan ya con un título universitario. 7 de las compañías más grandes del sector TIC en el mundo tienen actividades de investigación y desarrollo en esta provincia. Si hablamos de Toronto, que es, digamos que la ciudad más grande de la provincia y la ciudad más grande de Canadá, es la tercera ciudad más grande del mundo en el sector TIC, después de San Francisco y Nueva York. Los ingresos anuales del sector en esta ciudad son de 52,000 millones de dólares. La ciudad recibe alrededor de 650 millones de dólares en grants por parte del gobierno para investigación y desarrollo, y el 40% de las principales empresas del sector tienen sede en Toronto. Toronto cuenta con aproximadamente 18,000 empresas del sector, empleando 270,000 personas, lo cual da un promedio aproximado de 15 personas por empresa. Colombia Británica, que es básicamente la provincia del país que está al oeste de Canadá, arriba de California, arriba del estado de Washington. El sector IT representa o genera aproximadamente 3,000 millones de dólares anuales. Actualmente cuenta con el mayor número de compañías especializadas en juegos digitales, videojuegos, y la tercera más grande en el sector de cine y televisión en Norteamérica, después de Los Ángeles, Hollywood y Nueva York. La industria de medios digitales genera alrededor de 1.200 millones de dólares en la provincia. Asimismo, la producción de cine y televisión representa otros 1.200 millones de dólares al año. Hay 120 estudios especializados en el desarrollo de videojuegos, los cuales emplean aproximadamente 5.500 profesionales. Vancouver representa el 70% de la industria TIC en British Columbia, es la ciudad más grande de la región, y cuenta con más de 6,000 compañías empleando alrededor de 46,000 personas, lo cual es un promedio más o menos de 9 personas por empresa. Quebec es la provincia que está al este de Canadá. Tiene un sector TIC que representa ingresos aproximados de 21,000 millones de dólares y cuenta con un Producto Interno Bruto de 10,000 millones de dólares. específicamente en este sector. Quebec tiene la mayor penetración de teléfonos inteligentes y uso de redes sociales en Canadá. Montreal genera el 73% de la industria TIC en Quebec, empleando alrededor de 91.000 personas. Quebec cuenta con 7.800 empresas aproximadamente y emplea aproximadamente 196.000 personas, lo cual da un promedio de más o menos 23 o 24 personas por empresa. Básicamente este será como un breve resumen de cómo se comporta Canadá en el sector TIC, cuáles son los números y cuál es el tamaño específicamente de este sector en el país. Vamos a seguir con Juan Sierra, mi compañero en Montreal, quien va a moderar el panel de discusión. Muchas gracias.
Okay, thank you, Juan Carlos. So right now, I will be moderating this panel. Thank you, Kelvin, Irvin, and Santiago for being with us today. I just want to mention that it's to our audience that it's important to highlight that our three experts today have been in Colombia, know some Colombian companies, know the industry. So yeah, I just want to mention that to the audience so they know that you already have been dealing with a few companies there. Okay, the first questions go to all of you. Can you let us know a little bit more about your organizations? We can start with Kelvin.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm the president of Northern World Entertainment Software. We were founded in 2012 with the ambition to develop socially useful interactive content for underserviced niche markets. So we do websites, mobile applications, video games. We also do back-end technological solutions for companies as required, and we're really hoping to deliver positive content worldwide. So we're working with next-generation technology at the moment, HoloLens and virtual reality offerings, as well as traditional mobile application development, etc., for video game development. So you can reach out to us at nwesoft.com, or you can contact me at kelvin@nwesoft.com if you have any questions, or reach out to Pro Colombia in the future to get in contact with me if you need to.
Thank you. Irving.
Okay, I'm co-founder and VP Finance at XMG Studio, which was a mobile games developer founded in late 2009. We've released over 25, I believe, probably close to 30 games in the various app stores, iOS, Google, Amazon. And then last year we spun off a company that focused on augmented reality solutions, which was sold earlier this year to a US company. So right now I'm back working with just XMG Studio, and our website is xmg.com.
Okay. Santiago?
Thanks. So I work for the cluster of Montreal, Techno Montreal, which was founded in 2007, 10 years ago, and we bring together the whole industry, meaning universities, government, companies, anyone who works with ICT. As you just said, we are 91,000 workers for this sector, and we represent the companies, especially the companies that work in manufacturing, software, computer services, telecommunications, wireless technologies, interactive and digital content, entertainment. So yeah, we connect companies around the world to the cluster of Montreal. That's what we do. And if you need anything, I'm here in Montreal for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago. The following question just go for Kelvin and Santiago. What are the main drivers of the ICT sector in Canada? Kelvin, we can start with you.
Well, in the Toronto area, we have telecommunications and fintech as really the primary drivers out here.
Okay.
For myself, actually, the main drivers are innovation and disruptive technologies. We've been well connected to different countries in that regards, and we are developing software and technologies with several companies around the world. That's that innovation is mainly the main driver now.
Okay, understood. This one is only for Kelvin and Irving. What would you say is the main difference between the ICT sector in Canada and the US?
Would you like me to take that one first?
Kelvin, yeah, you can start.
Sure. So, in my opinion, you know, the U.S. is a much broader range and greater number of industries. You know, they have 10 times more population than we have here in Canada. So, you'll find in the U.S. that there's a greater availability of capital resources, primarily for investments and for R&D, etc. For foreign entities, especially with the strong U.S. dollar right now. So that's that really is the main difference that I can bring to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, like what I found over the years and talking to tech companies in the U.S. and Canada, I think the biggest difference is in Canada we have a lot of government support, which we'll be talking about later, in terms of tax credits and grants. But for me, yeah, that's the biggest difference that I typically see.
Okay, it's really important what you're saying about the size of the market. Sometimes for the audience, it's interesting to know that the U.S. is a lot bigger than Canada in terms of market. Just to keep that in mind for doing business here. This one goes for Irving and Santiago. What are the subsectors in technology that are booming up in the Canadian market? Is there any specialization by province? Any really important tech hubs? And what do you think are the main differences and opportunities that you see in software and digital content? Irving?
Sure. I think Kelvin mentioned it earlier, but fintech is really exploding, especially in the Toronto area that I see. It's natural because we have in Toronto. It's obviously the main hub for the financial activity in the country. And the one I've been working on, and Kelvin as well, I guess, is games. In terms of originally it was console and PC games, but mobile games has grown really fast in the last 5-6 years. And in terms of gaming, the big provinces are Ontario, Quebec, BC. And part of the reason for that is the big tax credits that are available given by those provinces. Other tech hubs, that I've seen are, Toronto, Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo is a very big one, and Montreal, Vancouver, obviously are very big too. But in general, if you go across the country, there's always little tech hubs that are starting to grow really fast or exploding pretty quickly.
Okay.
As for myself, anything related to innovation, but especially here in Montreal, technologies for health, technologies for transportation. We have Bombardier, and also the gaming sector. Gaming sector is very hot now here in Montreal, and we've been investing lots in that sector with our credits, research and development credits. So beside that, I believe there are lots of companies that are launching platforms right now, and those platforms are linked with countries, several countries, and there's an opportunity there for sure for companies around the world to get in, to connect with those companies here.
Okay. Kelvin, if you want to add something, or feel free to do it if you consider something to mention, to highlight.
That's fine. I think, just from the gaming sector, as Irving had mentioned, you'll find, a lot of activity out on the west coast of Canada, BC area. Mobile indie development is kind of scattered all across the country. You'll find a lot of animation, etc., happening out on the east coast of Canada in terms of education and development out there. So it's really broad, just in terms of where you're going to find those talent pools and those resources. But the video game industry is exploding. With the mobile market, as Irving mentioned, for developing markets such as Latin America, etc. That's primarily where we'd focus on developing product for not really the higher end AAA kind of stuff at this time. But you know, there's a lot of opportunity all across the country to work in various segments with all different kinds of technology solutions as well.
Okay, so continuing with you, you were chosen only for this question. What is the average cost per hour of a developer in Canada?
Okay, so from my experience, you know, it's a very broad scope, and really that's going to ultimately vary with the you know, the size and scope of the product that you want to develop, as well as the level of sophistication for what technology you're trying to develop for. In the video game industry, you can get, you know, intern programmers, mobile low-level developer, app developers, some, you know, anywhere from about $14 an hour, ranging all the way up to about $75 an hour for a really high-end AAA engineer out in the West Coast, etc. So it really does matter and depend upon your needs. You know, a good programmer here in Canada can be found for about $18 to $25 an hour, roughly, and a great programmer about $25 to $40 an hour. And again, a very high AAA type of engineer with a lot of high-profile projects under their belt can go anywhere from, you know, $50 to $75+ an hour, depending on the skills and expertise. So you can really get a competent engineer in this range. But again, it really varies. There's a huge demand for Canadians to seek lower-cost labor. You know, many companies in the U.S. and Canada do outsource engineering talent, you know, in order to stay competitive. And we certainly also delve into this area. There is a real issue in North America that I find working with technology all of the time and next generation technologies. You know, the engineers, no matter where you go, will always want that opportunity to work with the new technologies. But, you know, when given that opportunity, it's often a struggle to get a grasp of it. You know, oftentimes when we're working with new technology solutions, you know, there's not a lot of information from the hardware developers, etc. We do have a great support structure, but it's that learning process, and often Canadian companies are essentially paying to really train engineers with new technology. And you know, I find that, you know, loyalty really is a concept of the past, so you have to be very selective and very careful with who you recruit onto your team. And I can only speak from my own personal experience, but that's generally speaking what I've found in terms of the cost per labor. And again, it's really going to vary depending on your size, scope, etc. of your product and your device. But and you can find low-cost solutions, very high-end solutions, and it really depends on you and who you're willing to take that risk with. And everybody, from my perspective, is kind of a risk when you're dealing with new technology. But you know, I select people, you know, based on what's really in their hearts, not what is kind of stirring around in their head when it comes to new technology. So that's I hope that helped give a little bit of understanding for the cost.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So we were mentioned that the ICT sector in Canada is driven by incentives. So Irving and Santiago, could you describe the main incentives that the companies apply for, and how can they access to them? Irving, you can start.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll start. I mean, the main tax credits that we receive are SRAD, which we call SHRED, is for R&D type of work, R&D experimental type of work, and that's given by the federal government. And in Ontario and other provinces like Quebec and BC, we each have digital media tax credits, which is for the production and release of, say, video games or digital media products. And that's about 40% of, you get about 40% of your production labor back, and in some cases, you know, 40% of your marketing as well, up to 100,000. In the grant space, OMDC is the Ontario organization that provides lots of grants in the gaming and digital media space. So they have a big fund called the IDM Fund, Interactive Digital Media Fund, that funds, you know, gives grants for production of games. It's very competitive though. In the federal space, there are ones like IRAP, which also funds R&D type of projects. And then there's another one that my co-founder and partner who runs Extreme Venture Partners is doing a lot of work on, is the Startup Visa program, which is run by the federal government, and that's basically bringing startups to work in Canada. I believe it's short term. I'm not sure about the terms, but if anybody wants further information, I can pass you on to them.
Okay, thank you, Santiago.
It's almost the same. When let's put it that way, you're paying $60,000, $70,000 for an employee here, and you're getting $25,000 for fiscal credit from the government, and you add 30% in a tax credit called crédit d'impôt here. So, of course, you have to be working here, and you need also to know that the maximum salary that you can pay to an employee to get that benefit, it's like, I believe, $84,000 a year. And yeah, several companies use that credit, and we also have special credits for companies for the gaming sector. So yeah, if you need any information, specific information, you can contact me for sure.
Okay, thank you, Santiago. So understanding that there's a lot of incentives here, what kind of services the Canadian ICT companies normally hire in the international markets? And why are the most common countries for outsourcing? This one goes to you, Kelvin.
Sure. So really anything that can offer a competitive lower cost solution is typically outsourced here in Canada. So in the game and film industry, you know, that's really everything from art to animation to programming, post-production, or really pre-production actually, and production work. A lot of the post-production stuff is usually done in North America, typically on larger projects. Canadians choose primarily to outsource, you know, aspects to the U.S. I'm finding India, China, Latin American markets because there's a lot lower financial risk. In other regions of the world, you're going to find that ethics and integrity are sometimes non-existent. So everyone will tell you they can get you the best price, and for the you know, especially in a place like that decision, that critical decision, you're kind of stuck to go forward with that. You know, we've outsourced things and have significant affiliations, but you do have to be careful. You know, the more despotic the area you go to in the world, you know, the more prone you are to be disappointed when you begin to outsource things. You know, I've been offered PhDs for about $1,000 a month, but you know, how good are really these qualifications? You know, is it from somebody's grandfather's backyard, or is it from really an accredited institution? So you know, I found that in Latin America, it's a little bit more difficult to negotiate, but once that trust is established, I can say that there's a little bit more ethics involved than say maybe a China or India. And I don't want to paint everybody with that broad brush, but this is, you know, the experience that I've found dealing with the lower cost marketing and market solutions. So you know, for me, again, I when I recruit and I look for partners, etc., you know, we really do try to test the hearts and not the heads, because we found that, you know, again, everybody will, for lack of better terminology, lie to you and say they can pretty much create anything anywhere, and you might find yourself getting into trouble when you're trying to save a dollar here and there. So it's really crucial for you to do your background checking and make sure that there is a little bit of credibility with those partners that you outsource to various regions in the world. But again, U.S., India, China, really anywhere in the world where we can get some competitive support is open for Canadians. We're willing to work with anybody, in my humble opinion.
So in that sense, you were saying that, okay, what do Canadian companies look when outsourcing? Maybe you're saying the cost in some of the cases, but the skills and innovation are also important. What else? What else does a Canadian company look for? And what do they expect when they meet with a potential supplier, whether it's in China, or it's in Latin America, or it's in India?
Yeah, so to follow up on that, yeah, so the primary reason I think most often for Canadians is costing. That is one of the big issues out here with the higher U.S. dollar. You know, we do have to try to be competitive. So in the video game industry, for example, you know, there are a lot of standard tools that are used for production. So we focus on the competencies and in these areas with the products that we work with. And again, you know, generally speaking, Canadians are, you know, very easygoing people, you know, well-respected, trusted. You know, we would expect a minimal level of these human attributes to be exhibited with the partners that we choose to select around the world. And, you know, in any organization, it's about, you know, relationship building and long-term partnerships. And, you know, we like a simple and efficient transaction process, I think, from a Canadian perspective. You know, very clear milestones, very clear deliverables. You know, we want to know exactly what we're going to get in return for our dollar, just as circumstance. So we should in any we're really there in all different and I think this is why we're respected so often everywhere we go. You know, we'll smile, we'll extend that hand of respect and friendship, and we're willing to work with anybody. And, you know, we don't build up walls to keep people out. You know, we want to work with people and build bridges to bring people in. So that's what I can tell you from a Canadian perspective when we're outsourcing. We are looking to really find those companies that are just passionate about what they do. And I believe in Colombia there's a lot of really significantly talented people out there with a lot to give to the world and to share with Canadians. Myself, you know, I've been out to Colombia a few times, and Colombian associates of our aspects, and I don't speak Spanish, so you know, there's that much more skepticism when you're choosing a partner. But I've had some really great experiences with the individuals and the organizations that I've chose to work with thus far.
Okay, thank you. So this one goes for all of you. Based on your experience, what is the best advice for Colombian companies to prepare the pitch to a Canadian company? Can start with Irving.
For me, yeah, I've met with, I guess, a lot of Colombian companies down in Colombia and up here. I think the biggest one is, especially for companies developing in the mobile web space, is to show your competitive advantages, or to better describe them. The biggest thing is, you know, for example, I see a lot of, or, you know, I would meet with a lot of companies offering their mobile services or mobile app services, and it's hard to differentiate between all of them. You know, one can obviously be the clients and the showing the types of apps you built, and so basically like references. But that's the biggest thing, because if you meet with 10 companies that say they're all doing the same thing, it's, you know, it's very hard to differentiate between them.
Okay. Santiago?
Yeah, I believe that the game is about talent, so I believe Colombian companies should promote their talent. Their talent meaning what's different about them, how do they approach the mandates in a different way, who is in the team, and after talent, of course, there's a cost, but there is also the how fast you can work, and especially here we're in a very fast-oriented market, and we need people that works perfectly and fast. So I believe that's something you should consider.
Okay, and Kelvin?
Sure. So the best advice I can give to Colombian companies is, be honest when you are negotiating with Canadian companies. Don't worry about making that maximum profit on your first deal, like it's the last dollar that you're ever going to see when you're negotiating. If you take a chance on us, we're definitely going to take a chance on you. And nobody wants to break a good thing, or if we feel that we're being cheated or taken advantage of, we'll just kind of smile and walk away. But that's not what we want to get into relationships and how we build businesses out here. It is about efficiency. It is about skills. And, again, it's about integrity and reliability. Those are the key things that I think we look for when you're pitching to an organization. Don't oversell yourself, because, when we take you up on an offer, we have quite a high level of competencies out here as well too from the market, and I often find when companies are pitching to me, they'll kind of oversell themselves and state they have significantly more expertise in certain areas of development, and I'm able to just kind of look at their product in a second, and I know exactly, okay, they're using a free engine or whatever the situation is, and that kind of has happened to me a few times, and it kind of takes away from that credibility factor. So just be upfront and honest. Talk about where your level of skills is, and work towards building those relationships. Those initial relationships are key to forming long-term partnerships out here.
So, based on that experience and the understanding of your knowledge so far from Colombian companies, what do you consider are the strengths and weaknesses of Colombian companies? I believe you already mentioned a few of them, but we can emphasize that. We can start with Santiago.
Yeah, I haven't seen that many Colombian companies down here, but I can say that the main strength for a Colombian company has really to be oriented about the talent, and why me? Why my product? Why my service is better than other? And try to put a long-term relationship that you want to build is very important here, and also to deliver in the time that you say you're gonna deliver, and to respond to your calls and to your emails is very important here. I mean, people call me and ask me, hey, I wrote him an email yesterday and I haven't seen any news from him. I say, okay, well, he's in Colombia. I mean, it's not the same than here. I mean, here you're answering in an hour. So you really need to adapt to the Canadian way of doing business. They need to trust you, and if you can show them at the very beginning of the process that they can trust you, and that you will deliver on time, that you are going to deliver a good product, I think they're willing to try. And yeah, what Calvin was saying is very important. Yeah, don't try to do the best deal at the beginning. You better do a first or 2 or 3 deals. Maybe not the best for you, but good deals will come in that relationship, and that's very important. Yeah.
Okay, so continuity and the follow-ups are one of the things to keep in mind. I can see by your smiles, Kelvin and Irving, that you agree on that. But if you can tell us your opinion, Irving.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, the technical skills in Colombia, you can definitely match others in Canada, and obviously the cost of development or developers in general are lower there, and then the communication in English is very, very good, and that's a big thing for companies in Canada that can't speak Spanish. So those are the things I would stress if I was working in Colombia and trying to get outside business.
Okay, and Kelvin?
So strengths and weaknesses that for Colombian companies. So the strengths that I've found are the passion and the ability to create good things. Great people, great personalities. I've made many friends in Latin America who are just people you like to be with, and there are many innovative companies doing some very interesting work. And there are many companies as well who think they're doing very, very, very high quality work, when in fact some of it from a design and quality perspective are often poor when we look at these things. And this simply comes from, I think, a lack of education and a lack of that knowledge base being a minimum standard in certain markets in Latin America and other parts of the world. But I love meeting with Latin American companies, because they pull out all the stops, and they let the egos fly in the beginning and the first 5 minutes, and then you show them something a little bit along the lines of what they're used to, and then you see the respect and the humility start to kick in, and this is a baseline to establish that great communication. Some of the weaknesses that I've personally found or experienced are really the failure to communicate consistently, and maybe this is because of the language barrier. Often at times, as Santiago and Irvin had mentioned, North America, we use electronic and real-time digital communications as our primary source of communicating. And in Latin America, sometimes this can be a challenge with maybe some of the infrastructure in various regions. I get and have been blessed to meet a lot of executives and founders, CEOs, and high-level types of individuals and organizations, and we have amazing interactions. And then they delegate their communications to their administration or somebody lower level in the company who just kind of doesn't get it. And that's a frustrating part, because the messages are never articulated correctly or effectively. And this really leads to a rapid decline of breakdown of the process, where there could in fact be some type of business relationships to be had. So those are some of the strengths and weaknesses that I've personally experienced in my journeys out there. Okay, so we're about to finish the last question. You already mentioned that, but what's the best advice that you can provide to a Colombian company to succeed in Canada? You already said continuity, making the follow-ups. Yeah, the language barrier also is something that we have to improve, but if you have to say one thing, a good advice, what will be that? Kelvin, you can continue. Sure. The advice that I could give, just to go back a second, in terms of dealing with the language barrier, I was having a lot of difficulty, so I hired a translator out there, to deal with those communications for me, and that's helped somewhat. But even the translators have issues when they're dealing with individuals when they communicate. So again, it's that level of respect. When there is somebody who doesn't have that title, under their email, etc., who they're not aware of, it's really treating everybody in the organization with the same level of respect. So now, to answer your question, the best advice for a Colombian company to succeed in Canada, I would say that Colombians really should try to increase their level of awareness on a global scale. Have maybe a tad more humility and be willing to offer some competitive pricing from the get-go. You won't just be gaining a better business partner, you'll be gaining everything that partner has to offer as well too. If you do a great job, we're going to come back to you, and we're going to send our friends as well, to do business with you. And you have to know that we're nice and easygoing, but we can, be just as ruthless in our objectives, to be global leaders as well if we require to. And we're not as aggressive. When we say price doesn't, pricing structures, we don't really want to haggle. In those beginning days, often in back and forth when we don't know the individual or the organization. So usually, we'll be honest and we'll ask you, just tell us simply what you can do, and these will vary again from the different cultures in Latin America, etc. So I suppose and best advice is to look at the truthfully as you would like to be treated, and we're running businesses like this else to make a profit and survive. The whole world's struggling right now, and we need to all work together to succeed. So if not, China is really going to own every industry in every country because other labor markets really can't afford to pay a man or woman $1 a day, and we all know this. So let's work at building bridges together, and let's communicate more effectively and regularly. And I think we start off on that positive notion of beginning a relationship, and you're off to a better start than half of the people in the industry. That's my humble opinion. So thanks again for the opportunity.
Thanks, Kelvin. Irving.
Yeah, for me, yeah, I guess I've mentioned before, but the biggest thing is showing how you're different than your competitors, what your competitive advantages are, because all of us probably can attest to saying we get like multiple emails per week or per day or whatever from people pitching the business, but if they all sound the same, how do I decide which one or to even reply to? So yeah, that's the biggest thing I can give, biggest advice I can give to.
Okay, and Santiago?
My advice in Spanish, mi consejo real para todas las empresas es trabajo, trabajo y trabajo. Para desarrollar un mercado, para desarrollar una sociedad, un partnership, se necesita mucho tiempo, se necesita dinero, se necesita ir a ver al socio potencial al principio y después darle un seguimiento, invitarlo, volver a ir. Hay veces, yo llevo 12 años haciendo eso, hay veces me tocaba tomar aviones a Toronto, Lima, Bogotá, Caracas, Panamá, San José, y eran 3 o 4 meses de preparación para un viaje así de 2 o 3 semanas en el que tenía que hacer negocios. Y eso es mucho trabajo, muchísimo trabajo. Y al regreso es todavía más trabajo de toda esa gente que con la que uno almorzó, con la que uno desayunó, con la que uno fue a tomar aguardiente por la noche. Es muchísimo trabajo. Entonces, si quieren desarrollar el mercado canadiense, yo creo que tienen que involucrarse y utilizar también los recursos que se ofrecen, como ProColombia, como la Embajada del Canadá en Colombia, como las asociaciones, la Cámara Colombo-Canadiense. Hay que involucrarse y trabajar fuerte. Ese es mi consejo. Los resultados no salen de la noche a la mañana y no salen gratuitamente. Son el resultado de mucho trabajo.
De acuerdo. Okay, Kelvin, Irving, and Santiago, thank you so much. We will pass to questions and answers from the audience. Let's see if someone in Colombia, do we have any questions?
Thank you very much. This is Camille again from Colombia in Bogota. Let me see if we will enable the chat session so that the participants can type their questions, because we've got 69 people and I don't think they will be able to see. Let me see. Luis Carlos, ¿podemos habilitar el chat para preguntas y respuestas en este momento, por favor? ¿Dónde lo vemos nosotros en el... There are some questions here. There people are typing their questions.
Sí.
And then we will just communicate them to you, our three experts. Let's see. Chat. ¿Dónde Juan Carlos están Luis Carlos están las preguntas? A ver, sí.
Sí, claro.
Listo. Uy, que hay hartos. Solamente porque es que la ventana me parece muy chiquita. ¿Cómo hago para...?
Ah, ok, no te lo pregunto. Es por...
It seems we have a lot of questions. That's good.
Señor. Sí. ¿Cómo hago? No, hago doble clic, ¿hago qué? Porque es que no. Será un momentico. Ah, listo. All right, here we go. We got a lot of questions, so it's good. Let's see. The first question is, oh, here I am on the webcam now. What is the major lacking or the major lack of technical skills that you see on demand in the IT sector in Canada? Is there, I guess the question is more like, is there any IT skills that you see that Colombia could actually fulfill if there is a lack of it in Canada? I don't know if who wants to take that.
Who want to take the shot on this one?
Go ahead, Kelvin.
Sure, I can. Just from my personal experience, what I'm finding right now, there's a lot of kind of inexperience, I guess, in terms of getting that broad expertise in virtual reality. I've found actually a company out in Colombia who has a significant deal of experience working with virtual reality offerings, etc. And again, for me, it's new technology. I think that's where you're going to find that lack of experience. For the most part, we have a very knowledge base out there of engineers, etc. But you know, when you're given a product with, for example, a dev kit from Microsoft or something like that, you know, you're not given a lot of instructions. You know, you have the white papers telling you theoretically, but it's really up to you to find those niches. So it's the lack of experience comes from newer and next gen kind of lack of skills.
Okay.
And the video game.
Does Irving or Santiago like to add anything on that to what this Kelvin said?
Voy a responder así. Precisamente ayer estaba hablando con un cazador de cabezas, como lo llaman acá, y estaba diciendo que él mira mucho el mercado con respecto a las ofertas de empleo que hay, y en estos momentos sí, se busca mucho todo lo que son disruptive technologies, todo lo que es IoT, todo lo que es augmented reality, todo lo que son programadores de alto nivel. Uno mira los salarios que están ofreciendo de entre 80 y 90 mil, entonces esos son oportunidades para empresas nuestras. Son oportunidades porque sobre todo cuando están buscando esa calidad de personas es que también están buscando, están enviando un mensaje a programadores de cualquier parte que tengan la capacidad de responder a esos mandatos y yo creo que hay que seguir mucho el mercado con respecto a las ofertas de empleo, no necesariamente o no únicamente en cuanto a los contratos que se ofrecen a través de las plataformas. Hay una plataforma de contratos, por ejemplo, de contratos públicos que es interesante también para ver qué son los tipos de mandatos que se dan, que se llama MERX, y esa plataforma da también a conocer los grandes proyectos que se están haciendo en el área local en cuanto a tecnologías. Entonces, es un poco estar estudiando el mercado todo el tiempo porque está cambiando y hay muchas oportunidades.
Excelente. Muchas gracias, Santiago. Okay, there is a second question here. What is your take on artificial intelligence for entertainment and fintech?
Listo, entonces déjenme por favor porque nosotros tenemos...
Reverend, would you like to, or Kelvin, would you like?
Sure, I can take a stab at that one. Artificial intelligence and fintech. It's, I mean the way technology is evolving, we can't avoid AI offerings. Right now, you know, in certain exclusive markets, especially in the U.S., you know, we have those technologies where they have like tattoos that can go onto your skin and take bio readings and all of that kind of stuff, and you know, there's a lot of R&D in this area. So AI in fintech, you know, in the future, essentially the two will kind of be one entity in terms of in terms of the user experience, in my humble opinion, we use artificial intelligence, in a limited capacity to create more efficiencies for ourselves, and the banks are always trying to catch up. I'm in a lot of high-level meetings looking at new technology solutions for banking and all different kinds of industries, and in fintech. You're going to see that evolution emerge with the new technology offerings, especially in a VR space, in the VR realm in future. So it's really up to the innovation, and a lot of money is being pumped into VR right now. They expect it to be a $25 billion industry by 2020. So right now it's about a 800 million industry, primarily in the technology side of things. But as we start developing those different types of software architectures, AI will play a very significant role in the evolution of creating that user experience. And so all about saving time. Everything is about saving time. So if there's any solution that can be made to save time, you're going to have a winner if you can commercialize this and bring it in a really simple solution to the consumer.
Yeah, okay. I think there's definitely lots of opportunities in AI and the chatbots. It's very early stage, so it's a green field. So it's almost like a land grab. So a lot of companies and big brands are experimenting in that area. So I mean, if you can find a good niche or something very new, then there's good opportunities. Sorry, guys. I have to leave now. I have another meeting scheduled.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Irving. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Okay, bye, guys.
Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, Santiago and Kelvin, if you just bear with us another 5 minutes, and then we'll be done with the questions. This is a good question, I believe. Kelvin and Santiago, what is the best way to contact a Canadian company and show the portfolio? Does the email work well? Does the YouTube channel works better, or a reel? Do you really, how do the companies in Canada really receive the emails coming from, say, a foreigner?
Es como, mi respuesta es, yo estoy en Colombia y hay una persona de Kazajstán que me manda un correo electrónico diciéndome que me puede vender un servicio. Es más o menos lo mismo acá. Entonces, yo diría que para lograr hablarle a personas que pueden tomar decisiones en cuanto a partnership, ventas, es necesario hacer una estrategia, es necesario estudiar bien la necesidad de la empresa canadiense, y llegarle de una cierta manera para que valga la pena. Obviamente que uno puede mandar mails por todas partes y tratar de ver qué sale, pero me parece que hoy en día es muy difícil hacer eso. Y yo le aconsejaría a todas las empresas en Colombia que miren bien cómo llegarle al cliente al que quieren llegar, que hagan estrategias, que se conecten otra vez con ProColombia, con la embajada, con las diferentes organizaciones, cámaras de comercio, gente como yo que está conectando empresas con empresas, porque el mercado está muy, muy saturado, en el sentido en que recibe uno demasiada publicidad de gente que uno no conoce, y me parece que es de más en más difícil hacer negocios así.
Okay. Aprovecho, Santiago, entonces, ¿es posible que por este medio nos confirmes tu correo electrónico?
Claro que sí.
¿Cómo es, por favor, para que la audiencia lo tenga?
santiago.bravo@tecnomontreal.com. De todas maneras, yo estoy muy en contacto con Juan,
Sí.
con Eugenia Sierra Garrido, y cualquier cosa, pues estoy en contacto con él.
Sí, solo para mencionar, Camilo, como lo hemos hecho en algunos casos, cuando hay un interés puntual, la empresa se valida con Santiago. Si Santiago considera que hay oportunidades y hacemos el enlace, es el experto en el tema, entonces siempre también él nos da su opinión en quiénes podrían ser y por dónde podríamos ir de acuerdo a la empresa que quiera venir.
Excelente, porque estaban preguntando mucho sobre el contacto de Santiago, pues ya pues, se sienten identificados con lo que Santiago está mencionando, igualmente con lo que los otros están diciendo. Sorry, Kelvin, I was just mentioning that many of the companies are asking for your contact information as well as Santiago's, just because, you know, the information here is quite valuable, so the participants want to, you know, probably get in touch with you just, you know, in the near future. So there's another question here that is very specific to an industry, which is transportation and transit. Basically, the question is, what are the opportunities in the transportation and transit technology market in Canada? Do you have any knowledge about this specific industry?
Sí.
Sí, en mi caso sí, obviamente que en estos momentos hay muchas oportunidades en ese sector. Precisamente ayer por la noche estaba en un evento en el que diferentes startups estaban lanzando su producto y ofreciéndolo a grandes empresas para mejorar toda la parte de transporte de los empleados. Entonces, digamos que el grupo Carvajal en Colombia quiere ayudarle a sus empleados a reducir el tiempo de transporte en el que pasan o el costo de transporte. Y entonces, las startups hacen un producto en el que una aplicación móvil que le permite a los empleados comunicarse entre ellos y mirar todo lo que es carpool y para que la gente se hable y se recoja de un lugar a otro y vayan al trabajo y así haya menos autos en las rutas, menos consumo de gasolina, que los empleados se puedan hablar y crear relaciones entre ellos. Entonces, varias startups participan en ese tipo de proyectos que obviamente son, al final, pues son contratos, ¿no? Contratos que salen para compañías de transporte. Entonces, todo lo que es tecnologías para transportes en estos momentos está teniendo un buen auge aquí en Montreal, en todo caso.
Kelvin, do you identify any opportunities for this specific industry?
Sí, yo no.
Sure. So I've been asked a couple of times, you know, to provide my feedback and direction on some transport and logistics initiatives that people want to try to create applications for. So disruptive technologies, ride-sharing applications, anything real-time, GPS tracking, real-time logistics tracking, that kind of stuff is very critical to businesses out here in terms of efficiencies. For us, you know, we really are cognizant of every second of the day out here, and those are the kind of things that Colombian companies should be looking to pitch or create for right now. For example, in Toronto, and all across Canada and in North America, you know, the taxi and livery services industries, they're looking to become competitive right now to get you know, some of the market share back from Uber and from other tech companies. So there's a huge opportunity in this realm. We're actually developing an app right now, similar to something like that for the industry. But there's definitely a lot of opportunities all across Canada in every single city within the taxi industry and logistics and trucking. So you know, do your market research and contact Canadian companies. And again, the best way to contact Canadian companies for the last question, in my humble opinion, is you know, send your portfolio reels, whatever the situation is, via email. And you know, a lot of times, especially from perspective, know who you're anymore. You know, they're really dealing with digital tech offerings and solutions. So communicate digitally and electronically via social media, etc. And you'll probably get a much faster response time to deal with Canadian companies. And from the logistics perspective, again, anything disruptive and anything new that you can offer or you find existing that's working well, you know, try it out in North American markets, and you might have some significant success.
Thank you very much. I think that you know, that's about it. You know, there are other questions, but I just want to tell everyone in Spanish in a minute what what we're going to do next, because everyone is asking about, so many specific questions. So I'm just going to do it in Spanish so that we can wrap up this session. Les quiero recordar a los participantes, si sus soluciones en contenidos digitales, realidad aumentada, videojuegos, animación, tenemos un asesor aquí en Bogotá. Si están en Bogotá, si están en Cali con las oficinas regionales de ProColombia, su correo debe ir dirigido a María Mercedes Jaramillo, mjaramillo@procolombia.co, por favor, ya que muchas de las preguntas están muy dirigidas a lo que nosotros hacemos desde Bogotá inicialmente, ¿ok? Que tiene que ver con, oiga, ¿cómo abre una empresa en Canadá? Oiga, ¿qué servicios legales necesito en Canadá? Oiga, ese tipo de cosas lo hacemos desde Bogotá para que en Canadá facilitemos el trabajo de nuestros asesores en el exterior. Entonces, todo lo que sea como de mantenimiento y muy básico, por favor, les pido que se comuniquen con nosotros en Bogotá inicialmente o en su oficina regional si no se encuentra en Bogotá. Para temas de tecnología, de TI, más de industria, software, desarrollo a la medida, se pueden comunicar conmigo en cosuna@procolombia.co, Camilo Zuna, y les ayudamos con lo que ustedes necesiten para ya preguntas como más específicas, que de pronto este no es pues como el momento de abarcar esas preguntas. So, basically, Juan, Eugenio, I just want to pass it back to you so you can just close the discussion.
Okay, so Kelvin, Santiago, thank you very much for your time. I believe you will receive quite a few emails in the next few days, but everything will be directed to us in order to make a filter and understand better, and we will support you and anything you need. Also, for the Colombian companies, we are here to support you. Lo que necesiten acá en Vancouver, en Toronto, en Montreal, estamos para apoyarlos, y desde Bogotá y las regionales, pues ese es nuestro equipo para prestarles apoyo y que todos estos negocios se puedan llevar a cabo y desarrollar nuevas oportunidades. Thank you, Kelvin, Santiago. Have a great day. Thank you, Juan Carlos and Camilo.
Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you very much.
Gracias. Thank you, guys.
Thanks again.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, que estén muy bien.
Buenos días.
Igual, gracias.